it's portrayed from a woman's perspective or society perspective. I'm so sorry, I'm very nervous. So it's usually portrayed like as a woman's like job in this type of field, but many don't know that men are as equally involved in this industry. So when society or the community talks about this, it usually shines light on the women. So you don't really hear about like men. Oh yeah, like this man was maybe like caught up with in this type of scenery. But when men are portrayed in this industry, they're usually portrayed as the ones that are in power. So they're usually the ones like in charge of the women that are earning the money for this type of industry, as well as men that are involved in this type of work. They're part of the LGBT community. So this kind of leads up to how society and the community views it. So culture has a big toll on these individuals. In general, it is viewed like very. It's portrayed very like. I'm sorry. So it's frowned upon a lot for both women and men because obviously it's not what individuals should be doing, especially for many. The morals within the individual and the community are often in conflict, especially from a religious type of view. It's seen as ungodly. Like when we're growing up, we're always taught, when you grow up, you have to marry the opposite sex. So the expectations for the gender roles are in conflict. So this leads to a lot of shaming with these individuals. That's why a lot of them feel like they're outsiders. They feel inferior to everybody else because when people realize the type of work that they're doing, it's not very prestigious. And like it's just like, oh, you're doing that, then you're just like everybody else that's earning for like your daily food or something. So a lot of norms are broken when society starts to attack you. So how does family play a role? Family is a huge role with these individuals in their lives. When the individual, comes out with their sexual orientation is, it's not what their family wants. They seem to reject and discriminate them. They think, oh, why are you like this? You're supposed to be, the way I told you, like you're supposed to marry a woman, you're supposed to have a good job, marry, have kids. So it's like when they find this conflict between their families and themselves, it's like, what do they do? So eventually, when they come out to their family, they leave their homes. Especially in religion-oriented families, I feel like it's a lot harsher because, you're raised in a Christian-based family, you're expected to follow what the family believes in. So that's why a lot of these individuals turn to their peers for comfort, and why, if they can't find this self, how do I explain it? If they don't find this peace inside themselves, they're gonna turn somewhere else to look for it. So this leads up to how do they get involved in this type of job? So, like I said, peers are a huge role for this type of industry, especially if they hang around with other individuals that are also involved in this type of industry. They try to conform to their peers and their friends, be like, oh, like you should try it, like it's easy money, it's quick, like it's really not that bad. So once they do it, it's like, oh, okay, like I can do this like on a daily basis, or like it could be like a side job when sometimes they don't earn enough money. So also there's recruiters. Like I don't know if any of you have seen like oh, do you want to earn some money on some posters? It's usually like a false advertisement type of thing. So that's another way that they also get involved. Along with those two, there was a really important what's it called? the term that I came across. It's called survival sex. I will talk about this article a little bit more in a little bit down in my slides. But survival sex is where the individual turns to sex working to be able to live on daily for what they need. And the main cause for this is because of homelessness. A lot of them because they can't turn to their families, their peers. Sometimes they can't help them with like a place to stay. They are often left on the street. Sometimes they do turn to shelters, but many shelters, they get filled up. So if you get there late, you're not going to find a room for the night. So where do they turn? They turn to their clients. So a lot of times when they go, and obviously, you know, they do whatever they have to do, sometimes instead of getting money or paid for their job, they're asked them for a place to stay. So why would they pick this job area? Like I said, it's kind of like a foundation for themselves to be able to have some sort of stability. They're able to access their everyday needs, like housing if they can reach it, or food for every day. If they need to pay for transportation, they have that. It's usually cash type of money. And then obviously building like a good financial status in society, because it's really hard to have a steady income. So that's why they turn all out to quick money. So what kind of jobs do they work? So a common position that they like to work in is prostitution. They also work in escorts. I don't know if you guys have heard of the term escorting, but for those of you that don't know, escorting is where you can hire somebody as, say, I don't know, boyfriend or girlfriend, and then you take them to some sort of social event, and they're there with you for the night, and you pay them for it. Another common one is pornography. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of what pornography is, so I don't want to really get into detail with that. So another one is also like being a stripper, so going to strip clubs. I think it's like a less intense version of what they have to do. So this was my key article for my presentation. So this is called Surviving the Streets of New York. This article was done, the study was started in 2011. It was conducted for 3 years. And it mainly focused on young women and young men in the LGBT community who turned to survival sex. So 283 youths were interviewed into depth about what they had to do, how their family impacted their way of surviving in the world, their friends that they had at the time when they had to turn to survival sex. So there's two important statistics that I thought were quite shocking to me. So the first one is men were 3 times more likely to trade sex for a place to sleep than for a woman. And I thought it was interesting, because why wouldn't a woman want to do it too? Why was this in their head more than a woman? Like, why did men consider, having a place to stay rather than receiving the money and probably save it for something more useful later on in the road? And then also my second statistic was 43 young men would become involved because of peers. So that goes back to what I said earlier, that they turn to their peers. It's important to have like a steady foundation of what they think is right for themselves to be able to go on with their lives. So that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much.
Any questions? We have a couple minutes for questions. Yes.
Was there anything shocking that you found in your research?
Yeah, actually, because a lot of when I was looking for information, it wasn't, if it wasn't for Dr. Morales that I consulted when I was trying to do my research, I didn't know there was a study based on this type of idea or job or anything like that. It's just it was really hard to find something that was believable and then it was actually conducted. It's very hard to find when it's something that's not commonly talked about in society.
Especially among men.
Oh yeah, especially among men. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know if the article addressed it, but did the boys and girls get involved earlier or at about the same age as the other?
Yeah, actually, yeah. A lot of them were probably like in their teen years, because that's when they started to figure themselves out. So when their families didn't want to, associate themselves with them, that's when they kind of had to figure it out on their own.
And did boys do this earlier or later as compared to girls?
About the same time.
About the same time.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Colleen? No? Great job.